And then I find I usually have to close my page.
Okay, so I may have to reopen your page then because you didn't have it there yet. Okay.
Yes, it should be there. All right. I think I sent it to you.
Great.
Okay. Oh, good.
I'm going to share this public or just on my page.
Yes, you can share it public and your page and sort of see where it goes. And then I will afterwards also share it to a few places. But we are online right now. Okay.
Great.
All right, wonderful. There we are. Okay. So welcome, precious hearts. This is Anrita Melchizedek, and I would like to welcome you to New Earth Cosmic Conversations. And I'm absolutely delighted to have this amazing guest with me today, Rick Jewers, who joins us from the United States. And Rick, you're going to have to tell us where you stay because I'm not really sure myself. You stay where?
I'm in British Columbia, Canada at the moment.
Okay, all right. Oh, how absolutely wonderful. So Rick joins us from Canada, and I know he's absolutely amazing Facebook presence. He just shares such amazing wisdom. And I know many light workers, the Light Tribe, look up to Rick through all his incredible experiences and very, very deep humility as he walks this path of love. And of course, we're having so many planetary gateways activating at this time as we move into this 11-11-11 gateway, which is a really, really huge one of igniting the flame of divine love within us and also the rebalancing of a divine masculine and divine feminine spirits. So it's really so wonderful to be having Rick join us at this time because it's just such a wonderful perspective to bring that flame of love and that masculine frequency to this really harmonious reunion of hearts that is taking place on the inner planes and through this gateway at this time. And with my own work, what I've been noticing, particularly this year, is just a lot more men stepping up consciously. So it's just so wonderful that that invitation from the divine feminine is igniting and activating for so many of us, and seeing so many of the men now holding that flame of divine love on this sacred earth. So thank you, Rick. Thank you so much for joining us. I would love to hear just a little bit of your story and, how you came into, your state of self-mastery and where you are and sharing all this beautiful knowledge and wisdom.
Oh, okay. Well, first, Anrita, thank you so much for offering me to come on your show. I'm very grateful for that. And I'm always open to any interviews, and it's all about unity at this time and sharing and gathering and not to degrade anyone else, but the like minds and like consciousness gathering. And it's so important for where we're at now and where we're rapidly going. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to perhaps to just connect with even some others. It's always beautiful and it's always progress ahead. So my deepest thanks to you, Anrita. And what was your question again? A little about me, how I got here. Yeah, it's kind of comical. Before I begin, I would just like to say, that the last few days, I've been giving more of me out there, been talking a little bit more about me, because you're absolutely correct. More or less, I'm a guy that pops up and little is known about me in the past. And what I usually focus on is speaking about others and delivering the divine messages. And yeah, in the past, very seldom have I spoke too much about myself. But however, I just did a show earlier tonight with Linda Summers and a short half-hour one where I did give pretty much the same thing you are asking, but I gave it in a nutshell and in a summary, because to explain the whole thing and to share it, it's a couple books that would have to be written that I do not. I can write, but I just that is not part of my mission here to write those. However, getting quickly to your question, just do it in point form, perhaps. Point form one, I was an ignorant human, ignorant to divinity and to God, if you will. So you could look at atheist and then agnostic, until perhaps 2011. And it was all part of me being here with the veil completely intact, like all the others, to have the experiences that were pertinent to what we would be doing in the now when we awoken, and in this now and going forward. So the veil was totally intact, and I was totally here, oblivious to my connection to what I was. For me, my awakening was very abrupt. Uh, it more so was a 180-degree flip of my reality in the matter of a very few short days. And when I was awakened, and to know my connection with God again, which happened very rapidly, then I was very abruptly tutored by divinity, many days, 18-hour days, being shown on the computer and being briefed literally in every subject pertaining to this now, to histories, to the timelines, what went wrong, and just incredible downloads of information. And there were times that I would, not have to move the mouse on the computer. I would just sit there on the screen, and the angels, if you will, would bring up the tabs, change things, direct me to the information that I needed to download to be briefed on. And it was a lengthy process for me. I had unknowingly, I was oblivious and subconscious to, I was being prepared for the awakening through things I had did through my life, and I just thought they were normal things. But once I was awakened, it was pretty blatant to see I was being prepared for that time to be awakened. So then, very quickly, I do speak with God, and I speak with councils. I am of a very high divine order. Uh, I openly proclaim that. It's not out of conceit or ego, but it's out of showing that, any of these sort of human words, labels do not restrict us. And it cannot for us to step into our divinity. The moment that you say that you're just human, that's the moment you disempower yourself and your gifts and your connection to God. And the fact is, all of us are a part of God and are connected to that source. And so, a little bit about me is that, yes, I am connected to God, to divine counsel is what I sit with, and we do look at things. I am an overseer of the ascension of this planet as well. And, to perform that divine task and mission, I had to be briefed in the world things, what were going on. And I needed the history which led up to the position, these timelines are presently in. So I needed the background information to have a full understanding and a full dynamics of what connects to what, and to see what led to us being here, so that I could share with others the story and purvey that information when it was required of me. And also at this most pertinent time where we're jumping so many timelines, to appease, or to, no, I should say to ease with the confusion, I am readily equipped with the information to quickly put out, to say, this is why this is happening, and all of this. And also I am a prophet, and like many of you, those gifts are being heightened. All of your divine gifts, what you could label as ESP, you have all of those and more. It's, just doing your inner work to strengthen your energy and be connected to it. And, I am a prophet, and I do not hesitate, and I do not question when I'm told to put something out. And I do, and I suggest that for all of you. Because again, when you begin to question what you're given, those are aspects of doubt, which are fear. And they keep you back into the illusion, and they keep the veil down where you kind of get off track a little bit. Is that okay? I'll stop there.
Yeah, that was a really nice sort of description of, kind of how your gifts are just experienced through the counsels of light. I guess that's probably the best way of holding that flame of divine love. And as you just, guiding people according to what is happening from a planetary perspective, which is changing so much as we're moving through so many of those higher timelines and trajectories, and actually, kind of the dissolving of lower timelines once we've completed that, and actually doing through part of this ascension journey for humanity. I know in my own journey that I just came awake, and I entered into a family where I grew up chanting Sanskrit and meditating, and I had my full awakening in my 20s, and very star seeds. So it was the connection into the Pleiadians, and then the Sirians, and then Dromedans, and then from there into the archangels and the order of Melchizedek. And so I went through the full spectrum of all the integration of all the multidimensional aspects of self. And just holding that, and actually really essentially my gift for a very long time was being a channel, until I had my own descension process of coming home. And then that integration was simply there. So it's just as you are doing in your own way, and so many of us, is, those downloads are received through the cosmic councils. I kind of see it as more now, although everything is there, it's drawing from that ascended realm. And that ascended realm for me is very much also connecting into Shambhala, and, kind of, I would say working, but in a different way, working with many of the luminous beings, because we're no longer receiving information as such through, take this information and share it. It's like you have your own wisdom, your own knowing, and that is what you're sharing as part of the collective. So it's just sort of like a little bit of a shift in the perceptual reality, in that integration of self, because we are everything. And as you're saying, we're not only the light of God, we are God, and we're holding that essentially upon the sacred earth and showing people how to get there. And fear is a huge one, because I know for me, even when I moved into a deeper sense of coming home, when the soul embodied, when I had experienced the integration of the higher self, the monadic self, the beloved I am presence, and all the ray aspects to that, it was still the clearing at a cellular level, a lot of the old false beliefs and judgments, and just kind of going along with the ride, sort of just like saying, oh, okay, there we go. There's the next level being released, and the next level. And I know that we call these also part of these ascension symptoms. And so much of this is purification, isn't it? It's like it's alignment and purification.
Yes.
And that's just how it keeps going, and it keeps going, and it keeps going. And then depending on where we are, we just have these moments of intensity, because there's moments of just increased light frequencies, just clearing this collective unconsciousness of just this immense anger or this immense sadness or whatever it may be. And we feel that within our bodies. So it's how are we responding at that moment that is happening? How are we working with this ability to release the karmic timelines while still holding ourselves as flames of divine love? And that's where the voices of wisdom come through, because then it's like kind of saying, okay, here we go, but let's hold this collectively. This is how we can do it, or this is how we are doing it from a fifth dimensional, higher dimensional perspective. So many changes, and I know many are at that point of their spiritual ascension, moving into the physical ascension, which is the next level ascension as we create the bodies as bodies of light, and at the same time also just honoring how so many of these gifts are coming online, because that's what's essentially happening now. You know, for a long time I did create, also have that sense of, okay, oh well, there goes that, there's that gift coming online, or there's that gift, and now it's like nameless. It's just you have everything that you need. You know, you call
Indeed.
yourself a prophet. It doesn't matter what term we call ourselves, but that information is simply available because it's listening to the universe. It's and then responding accordingly. You know, that's what I think a huge part in this higher dimensional templatings or consciousness of light is hearing the universe very, very clearly and then choosing what to respond to. That's like a really a big part of this journey. Whereas from a 3D perspective, we go, oh, I must do this and I must do that. And that's what I need to do next. And that's what I need to do next. And the universe goes, you don't actually have to do anything, any of that.
Well, you know, I kind of say, no, you have to do some things, but you do them from the heart, as you said. You know, when the brain thinks that you got to do something, if your heart's not in tune first, telling your brain to think that, then yeah, no, don't do what your brain says unless you have that connected to your heart. That is very important. So until that time, and you know, to get you guided and to get you on your way, you have to go with that intuition and what's in your heart and what feels right. So you follow the sensations and the feelings first. And you know, while you're doing that, it's starting to train the brain to listen to the energetic field, the energetics, to listen to the heart. So what you're excuse me. So what you're actually doing is training the brain to be a part of the heart. And and the challenge is, what's funny, you know, like you have a human brain and you're putting your divine essence back in the human body. So you got to throw out things that are in the human brain that are attached to the lower dimensions, because you're putting in this new higher perspectives and things. So, you know, that's a huge transition, and the brain will rebel against that because it's been conditioned in part by an intentional fear-based uh, in, invocation by the dark, but also there's a divine aspect that had fear there to keep that veil in place to secure your human experience in your human training field for the angels. So, you know, a lot of this fear is actual orchestrated fear upon yourself to set up some of the experiences, but not all of it. There was malicious intent by the dark angels and by what was happening on the planet to administer fear things upon you that were not included in your soul contracts. And because of that huge law in the way of all that is, because that was broken intentionally by a dark intelligence, yes, split off from heaven, that is why we are here now on this timeline. And that is why the Great Awakening is occurring. And it's what we're bringing down and we're correcting. And we are also assuring these futuristic timelines for the human playground. And very quickly you can see, you know, you had the fear mongering, North Korea is going to stop a war. But what? All of a sudden, Trump and Kim Jong are writing love letters to each other. You know, what? Like, where did that come from? And then you have, you know, so the Soviets moving into Siberia. Oh, nuclear war is going to begin, and all of a sudden, boom, nothing. Where did that go to? You have, you know, a proposed. What was several months ago? You know, there was Hawaii set off incoming missile, their alert system. What happened to the missiles? Well, that, there was actually missiles fired, and we took them out before they ever reached Hawaii. And it was a deliberate attack. But this was a display of divinity onto that, showing that no, we have control of this. And if we, whatever the dark attempts to keep control, there's going to be no harm come. This playground is secured, these timelines, this Gaia, these dimensions. So I'm going to be blunt. We control what is happening on the planet. We are steering it.
That's right. I like that, Rick, because it truly is true in terms of that this is a time of safety. Not only is the worst behind us, but actually, essentially, not only is a light quotient activated to more than 51%. So that is not only, no matter how far we spiral out, we'll always come back into that field of love, but essentially too, what I've seen is so many of the deepening synchronicities that actually just show how we're just guided by the forces of light. It's just absolutely amazing. And what's dropping, of course, then is those old stories and old energies and old fears, because it has no place in the new earth. It really is just to know that we are divinely supported every step of the way. And all we have to do is be the physical vessels of light, the flames of divinity, walking this path of love. And nothing can touch us. For many years, I remember, that really part of my journey, a large part of that, we were still in that, bringing in our flames of protection. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing if that's where you are still, because there are people that are, just waking up still and experiencing sort of such an array of emotions and feelings. And of course, we're still programmed into a lot of those old thoughts and feelings that you were talking about earlier from the human perspective or the human mind. And so there's a huge amount of clearing that's going on. Is also bringing in the flames of light, whether it's the Archangel Michael and his beautiful blue flame or the violet flame. And, that's also been such a huge part of that work that we've been doing upon the sacred earth, the violet transmuting flame or the white light of the Christed one, the golden flame. So many beautiful flames and dragon energy. There's such an amazing dragon energy as well. So much is actually happening on the sacred earth, and really essentially it's just us tuning in multidimensionally to whatever that octave or frequency is that we can talk on at that time. That's really what we're doing. We're the co-creators. I'm coming right now. I'm just opening my door for one of my cats. It's meowing a lot, and I'm just going to bring it in so it will stop the meowing.
Okay, cool. Wow, Anrita's amazing, isn't she? And very beautiful as well. So awesome. I'm having quite a fun day. Always fun.
Yeah, you've been busy. Hey, I'm absolutely loving that. I thought also your show last night or yesterday, I'm not really sure in terms of timelines, but very recently, the one that you did on Kundalini activation. And it really is actually for me, also very interesting the way that you're explaining it, because so many of these connections that we're having have been on the inner plane, and what's been held there, you're talking about really, that everything essentially is this divine masculine, divine feminine rebalancing, and we're doing this within ourselves, but we're also coming together now much more with the soul family, the soul clusters, and holding that energetically. So what has been your experience of coming together? Because I know that you talk also about Kundalini activations, and I've had this experience too in working with people creatively, where we're merging energetically on the inner planes, and that has been experienced as the Kundalini activation, kind of just boom. So part is also, of course, the purification and the ignition and activation into the energy of one another, and holding whatever that flame of divine love is it, and unity consciousness is at that time for that work that's going out. But it seems to be happening a lot more. It seems to just be, the soul clusters coming together. And I think that's in part why we're coming together so much on the physical level too. Because for a very long time, this work was just energetic and on the inner planes. We were all just meeting on the inner planes, whether it was in the cities of light, the schools of learning. And now more and more, as the light tribe, as the community of light, we're coming together physically. And, the company of heaven has really also just given me this directive to bring people together in these series of gatherings called Voices of the Light Tribe. So I'm starting that from next year, of actually physically going out and grabbing all these incredible facilitators, people like yourself, Rick, when we get to Canada. I'm heading to the UK and the States next year. And, these are the facilitators. It's no longer one voice. It's the voices of the Light Tribe. And the idea is that everyone will have their seat at the table, round table. It's a round table gathering, sharing their light, sharing their activation, sharing their energy. And, we're just going to go through the day of a whole lot of different facilitators and hosts and setting up 2 4-day events. But the idea from this is also to take that networking and to take, kind of what comes out of there and just keep going, gathering momentum as the light councils. This is the time where the light councils are starting to form on the earth. So it's a really absolutely amazing, beautiful moment in time where we're starting to come a lot more together as one unified field, as one love, one heart in physical form.
Yeah, a beautiful point you just brought up, and I totally concur. What you said is that we're setting up the light administration upon the planet through the gatherings, and you are so correct on that. And with this gatherings and the combining of energies in close proximity by meeting in the physical, these are creating fantastic, powerful bonds of energy, and again, this goes into your invincibility, as you're saying. This is pure light, and it's a formidable force that only things of light, can adjoin or annex to it. So, what we are in now is a very great period with the unity and establishing, as you said, the light administrations upon the planet. And this is starting out small scale, but it is happening now. It is amidst fruition. We are in the middle of that, and so it's so many groups and gatherings, and everyone is doing the correct thing and gathering, with you could call soul tribes, sub tribes, but we're all the one tribe at the end of the day. But each one is doing, they're following their hearts. They know this. They got the messages. Gather now, unite, and to form, the light bodies that will govern, or at least administrate the governance of the planet. So yeah, excellent point.
And I also see, my other big desire is us coming together actually as light communities, like living together literally, because coming together in these gatherings is absolutely amazing. And I concur really, really how we're going to just accelerate our own light exponentially upon the sacred earth. But being able then to come and live together where we're all having our gifts is, I think, the next level beyond that, where we just, everyone is doing their thing and we're just getting out there and living off the land and making what we do and doing what we do. And just, I think that's really just going to be the next level and the next level, kind of moving back into that, almost, I would say, beyond Atlantean. It's almost like back into the Lemurian, energy. Yeah.
Indeed, Anrita, that is one of the timelines. I say one because we are creating many here, in the 5D perspective. And, this is where we can branch off and begin new timelines. But, with our newfound abilities while in the human form, we can transcend these timelines because of our multi-dimensional abilities that we are bringing online and that we are being given. And, each one is developing that in preparation for this. And, this takes on what we wished for, and it takes on the whole new magical, a fantastical proportion of it that makes each one happy. And, it makes, while they're in the human form, the happy experience what we all desire. So this is our access to that. however, we are still down here. And at the moment, what I'm given, we're on the upper echelons of the 4D timelines because we are still securing part of that old playground for those that will follow in our footsteps later on, and we're planting the seeds into those lower timelines for the others. And all the while we are very busy multitasking divinely, and we're preparing not one timeline, we're preparing many. We're taking care of business like BTO, except we're going 24/7. Many will be knocked out to rest at 2 o'clock in the day, while others are up all night. And it's wild and wonky. And, it's quite a divine societal structure as well that's doing this. It's beautiful. Yeah.
And very exciting. I cannot tell you how much joy every day I wake up with, just such joy in my heart. And the same thing, I just see all these timelines, these trajectories and visions of that timeline that we can move into, or that one or that one. And really all of them are all about unity anyway. So it's also just essentially as co-creators, what we choose to do, which is really what I was saying essentially in the beginning, that how we choose to respond to the universe. Because that is, as the way showers and in the light tribe, that is our choice, because this is still the free will universe of how we choose to respond in terms of co-creation. What is our greatest joy? What is our greatest heart's desire? And more than anything, it's just so amazing to feel that. It's because we went through, and I don't know your story, but my story, and so many like us, kind of like the slightly older light tribe that down here, we just really, holding that light, went through so many perceived challenges, and some things are absolutely devastating and heartbreaking and so incredibly difficult. And, there was a point also, I know in my own story, that I was just like ready to leave the planet, and I know that I wasn't alone.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I may, you brought up another very important point that I'd like to touch on here. And again, it's about the importance of letting go of fear out of your brain and out of your heart, because, the new timelines that we have built up, that fear in any form, frustration, irritation, none of that exists there. So, for you to go there, you cannot carry that with you and take it there. If you look at the human laws of physics, you cannot put negativity into that form of positivity. It repels it, so it'll keep pushing you back out. You will not, sorry about the light, you will not experience these great timelines and the magic as quick if you have these fear aspects in you. And it is key, and it is fundamental to all that you are, to let go of all of that fear. Anything fearful, let go of it. And that's why every one of you have been triggered, and you've been subjected divinely since 2012. Since then, divinely, you've been subjected to your greatest fears to overcome them, because fear cannot go with you into the new timelines we are creating. We are creating that heaven on earth timelines where you have the ultimate enjoyable experience that is full of bliss, and it's peace and abundance and everything you wished, and a place where we have made Gaia, planet Earth, big enough that you could take a human lifetime um, to fulfill it just by trying to explore all the beauty of this planet. So there's lots to do, and your integration with the others, what we have prepared on the higher timelines, the 5D, but they're accessible now. We have brought back the beautiful mystical fairy realms, the elementals, the mythological, what they call mythological and fantastical parts of what was seeded into the historic timelines. So we have for the 5D timelines, we have enabled and energized those beliefs to bring this back into fruition, and the beautiful dragons, and to have the beautiful, fantastical experiences. So this is what's waiting for us. This is our reward. And, we are also doing our other job here, and we now know what we got to do. Many have known this for a long time. Some, the precious feminine representatives like you were awakened, a long time to begin to plant those seeds. And, there was so much in place when I had awakened that I was briefed on, what was already there, and, on some of the way showers, and get in line and get in tune with it, get my timelines jiving with you, with all of you, and join the party. So it just,
yeah, and what a party it is. When you're talking about that, I'm just, because I've noticed this year in particular, how everything is talking and communicating. One of my gifts is certainly also working with nature intelligence and nature spirit intelligence. And many years ago, I was hanging out with the brownies and the fairies, and that sort of just moved into other timelines, but it's back now in such a huge, big way. The crystals are talking, and the fairies are talking, and the dragons are talking, and not even like those timelines of the Isle of Avalon, the goddesses there, and Lancelot and Arthur and the Murian timelines. And it's just like almost theatrical. It's like I wake up and I wonder, which timeline am I entering today? Because everything just feels almost like it's just a play, but a play of love and a play of remembrance and a play of communication, because that's essentially what this is. And it's so exciting for me because it brings a whole new meaning to all the world's a stage.
It does. And, it makes our stay right here, right now, much more joyous. We have so much more real, beautiful things to watch, and that's what it fulfills one, and it takes away the boredom as well. And I will confess, we knew many were getting tired and very bored about a year ago. So it's at that time that we did open up more of the gates to allow the interdimensional access, much more prevalent than it was before, to these experiences. And many of them have become, right into the realities outside of the consciousness, and really played in, that some are actually seeing, real fairies, the things in the sky. They're seeing them visually with their eyes. The ships, they're seeing, and there's no denying that. And just so many incredible experiences.
And even that plasmic light frequency, where you just see all these sort of like higher lights and color frequencies. It's just absolutely amazing. You look on, around you, and just everything is just so bright and colorful and electric, and just absolutely, absolutely amazing. And, talking about going back about a year, Rick, I know for me that was the August, September gateways. And, it was just we were having so many things happening at that time with those stargates and energies coming online. And that's when I went through my, kind of descension process. I've been, just the soul coming fully and embodying into, of my body and through my heart. Because until that time, I used to think I was really quite grounded, and, and until I actually was, I hadn't realized I wasn't, which is quite an interesting thing, isn't it? So, but so much then also just, it took so long in that integration. I kind of say like newly experiencing the extended realm and like high, because part of your energy is still clearing at the cellular level of the human experience of, some of those fear-based traumas and realities, and you're not quite sure yet, kind of what am I supposed to be co-creating? Because, for so long there was always a guidance. If you're a channel, there was always like, kind of you move into that state of consciousness where you could actually feel and experience the transmitting of the core groups that you're working with. And I still absolutely love that. But for me now, it's not experienced in that way anymore, just completely differently, but also magical and beautiful. Yeah. And in that space of, kind of like ascended consciousness, you would then bring through transmitting, you know, frequencies of what was coming through there. And then there I was, we were, many of us, and, you know, it was like, okay, I'm not quite sure what to do yet, because I had a deep sense of knowing, and yet the words weren't forming. So it took almost this whole year for my cosmic brain, if you would like to think of it, because the heart was fully activated and open, but the words weren't there. The knowing was there, the understanding was there, but finding the words weren't there. And I've spoken to a lot of people as well, and they said, you know, also this year's been kind of like fuzzy brain. You know, it's been, obviously it's new beginnings and new timelines and new trajectories. And of course, this is a co-creation where we're actually just saying, let me go there. That's what I'd like to do. That's my gift for now. And what I did this year is, and I just tried on a whole lot of different hats. Mm-hmm. So I went off and did absolutely just amazing range of blended essential oils with crystals and diamonds and color and angelic frequencies. Yeah. You know, created just these amazing things, and did animal healings and chatted to the crystals and did light grid and light work that way. And, you know, and then I also just did just amazing stuff with angel tools for parents and children. And, you know, now it's just coming back like it's slightly greater cosmic picture, how everything was just do what your passion is, and realize actually everything is like a stepping stone. It's like a review of everything that we've done. It's like a puzzle piece. It's now everything is coming together. Every skill that we've had, every experience that we've had of source energy is now fusing into just greater levels of magnificence and understanding, but also how those gifts are now, you know, accelerating into the next level of the soul's blossoming collectively.
Okay, well, see, what you just brought up now is it's occurring now. It's a huge transitional stage of, like you were saying, you would call on for your channel a source that was outside of you, that seemed like it was outside of your head. But what's happening, you're in this transition that it's now being integrated here into the timelines within you. So now you don't need to meditate per se, or you don't need to go with your eyes in your head and try to connect to a source out there. It's in here. It has, for many of you, been integrated, that you don't have to think about what you say. You don't have to question what you feel, because you have integrated those essences and aspects of your higher self into this now. It's integrated within your whole field for some of you. So no longer is it, you know, like it's described in your chakras above your crown. No, it's here. Your higher self is in you. Many of you have done that. So now you are a walking, you know, divine representative. You are the light present in this now. So, you know, you have bridged that gap, many of you. Now, during the course of that integration, part of the process is it's your wording, the wordings that you use upon the planet. And you know, this becomes important because a certain aspect of the dark was with certain words in the belief and the energy they carried, you know, with them. And they also instilled certain confusing beliefs with the definitions of some of these words. So very importantly, you're becoming a divine, perfect instrument. So what you need to do is understand the energetic components that affects the unawakened. And so, you know, part of those is the words and the speech. So you need, or you should, each one does what they feel, but you need to be more precise and concise in your wording with speaking with others that may be awakening. You know, any of you teachers that are assisting ones, try to be precise. And this is also the assistance that you are receiving, also while you're still being divinely schooled, is that you will forget some words, you will forget some things, because this is your assistance that you should not perhaps be using those terms, those words. So, you are being schooled and guided to become a light administrator upon the planet, and you
And
don't
also,
be confusing.
yeah, and also deeper into authenticity, and also I see the way that I used to express myself, and I have to say, I think I really just humbly can put it out there. I was a really beautiful channel at that time. But the word usage, then, all of that disappeared. It was like I don't remember any of it. I spent so many years, and if I can tell you, I went through absolutely every energy system, absolutely amazing, beautiful. And now it's like, it feels like it was just another reality, because so much of that there is just a knowing rather than, kind of the expression of those words. And also with it is deepening sense of authenticity and sovereignty, of divine presence, just emitting our truth and holding it from an expression of self that is more simple, more concise, more precise, everything that you're talking about here. So it's just such an interesting moment in time. And I really, really concur, because for me, it was also just be very sure of the way that you're using words, be very sure of the energy of the words, and not only what they carry in frequency, but what they carry in expression and understanding.
Beautiful. Yes. And you don't need to have a dictionary in your back pocket. Again, you follow the resonance in your heart. If you make a statement and all of a sudden you feel it's not right, just retract it. You don't really need to know the meaning or the other meanings of the word, because you can make it simple with yourself. Yes. Speak fluently. That's important, because this is the way also you learn about perhaps correcting certain words you should say, or certain words that you may choose other words for. And watch the negatives, because you have to remember you are also manifesting part of this reality. And like, if you, a simple expression like, the words "I don't know," I suggest that no, perhaps say that you do know, get that negative aspect out of there. And this is very important, because, with your brain and your manifestation, what you do is, if you say something restrictive like "I don't know" or "I can't do this," then you block it, because you're creating it. So it's very important, and it is tricky, but you'll get it. Just change every negative that you come across, that you use, and change it to positive, so that you're not hindering and restricting your development as well. And what you want to, what it does, it opens more doorways for more timely, divinely timed things to come to you. So the mentality also, yeah, is very important. And you would perhaps you would never think that it mattered that much, but if you look at the perspective and the inner knowing that you are creating by what you say and what you think, then you can more readily accept and see why it could be a hindrance.
And the vibration of words, isn't it, Rick, so very important too? I know that every word has a vibration, and even, kind of like words that we kind of use. I know obviously the one part you're talking about there is like, just be conscious of your thoughts, and, kind of have a look at if there are negative thoughts coming up, just loving them. That's what I do, just bring everything into my loving heart. Although for many years I haven't really had that, kind of that energy, that because that is still then self-appreciation, self-love, and self-nurturing that we have to go through. But I remember that time that I would have it, whenever it was some years back, I would have a louder voice that would speak aloud and say, "No, you're not that. Absolutely beautiful, amazing person," And so that was kind of like a conscious way to shift it. But in terms of energy and frequency and vibration of words, that's really quite huge too, because certainly I'm not in judgment to anyone, but even with my own children, I kind of like the words pop up that, kind of like bad language usage, or, swear words or whatever. And I say to them, words have a vibration. Words have an energetic signature. And what some words do is that they take you into a lower vibration. They're still quite young, so it probably goes in one ear and out the other. But hopefully one day, when they grow up, they will actually realize what I'm saying. They just be conscious of how you're expressing yourself.
Yeah. See, and this is, it makes it, let's say, a much more tedious task for some with your divinity, because we are energy and we affect all energy, and everything is energy. So you have to have great discipline and knowledge of that, knowing that you affect everything. You even affect your vehicle, and
Yes.
the stronger ones, that you get in. If you love your vehicle, you'll find out that she might just take right off on her own while you're driving, all kinds of spunky power. But if you get in and you say, "Oh, I hate this vehicle," it's probably going to sputter and break down and everything, for one that's at a divine level, that their energetics and their manifestation is coming online, because you're creating that. And it's so important. Everything that you do, your acts, your reactions, what you say, and what you think. And you've got to retrain the brain.
Yeah, and perceived value. You're talking about your car, but my car has a name. My washing machine has a name, and everything is treated with love because it's bands of consciousness.
Exactly.
Everything is bands of consciousness. And more than that, then it's also perceived value in every relationship and everything, because the moment that there isn't that perceived value, that is when the universe is going to reflect something to you and say, okay, let's bring this person into your reality, because you don't see their worth. You think they are X, Y, and Z, while whatever it may be. And the universe is saying, well, there they are. And you're either going to accept them and release judgment and release blame, or you are going to experience, kind of just this whole play until you actually realize their value, because every single one of us is a son or daughter of God. It's just the levels of conscious awareness that differs from individual to individual.
Indeed. And you gave me the opportunity to touch on something very important. In your interactions with others, you have the unconditional love and the wanton, and the desire to assist someone. And, there may be someone very negative and toxic that you wish to assist, but for some reason it's not working, and you keep getting repelled away from it, and they keep rejecting. Well, what happens there is that each one has a soul contract and a soul experience, and divinely you cannot interfere with some. So what you do to perhaps assist with that situation, you do not impose your assistance upon someone. And you may wish to try, but if it's rejected, don't waste the energy on it. What we've been doing is more so in the last couple years, is for the ones that were ready, anyone they were to assist, the ones would be placed before them, and at least there'd be an opening that they could start to assist them. So with this, you don't run out in the street trying to heal everyone, and you don't even go to your family if your brother is very negative. You don't go there and impose your angelic gifts upon them. If part of their soul contract, if you are to assist them, they will come to you. So it's very important to understand a little bit more of those energetics as well, because what you do not wish to be doing is to expending your important energy that you need for your growth. If you're to do to intervene with another soul, then you are divinely presented and positioned in that to do that, and they are receptive to what you are doing.
Yeah. That's interesting. A couple of interesting things raised there. One, obviously, is just how our own energy is affecting and creating change. And then the other is, just kind of clearing of karmic timelines, whether it's through, particularly family, I think particularly family lineage. And for a very long time, I know that, it's really just is about, anyway, releasing all levels of blame, with karmic mates and whatever it may be, with parents or siblings or extended family. This has been a huge part of this work that we've been doing through the karmic timelines to know ourselves as love. And from what I'm hearing, and I'm not disagreeing, I'm seeing another perspective, is that now it's just really the honoring too of our own energy of purity and love, and not only being okay with where that person is, but not feeling that need to kind of say, well, let me go and shift my relationship, because then you're assuming responsibility, aren't you? You're stepping into saying, let me create change to this person. But if this person isn't ready to step into that alignment with you, that they're not ready to embrace that, to take responsibility to the next level of that relationship, then you've got to just let them be where they are.
Totally agree with that. Yes, I concur totally. I wish to bring up another aspect. Everyone and every teacher, is putting out what is pertinent to their, to their followers, to their group, to their comrades. But each perspective is correct. But for the sake of any viewers, that may wish to entertain another perspective, when you start looking at karmic bloodlines and these sort of things, what I suggest is, do not readily go into historical bloodlines, and try to be just in this now with the ones that are alive in this now, but more so with the individuals. Look at your moms, if they're divine, if let me say they're all divine, but if they're awakened, and what that bond is. And look at your immediate children. Just look at your generation that is in your reality now. And you don't need to go and think you need to repair karmic bloodlines and things, because bloodlines are human. They're part of that. You are integrating your divinity, and you are a being of all time that is perfect when you're in your pure essence. You don't need to readily correct things. So if you're divinely given to go and have that experience and to learn more about it, yes, you must follow what you're given if it resonates with you. But what I'm saying, don't make it so hard on yourself. If that thought pops into your head and it's not in alignment with your heart, follow your heart. Do you need to do it or not? Try to keep your distractions, like that, from the brain, unless they're heart sent, so that you can keep more of your energy into the now and focus on this now, setting up your futuristic timelines in conjunction with the rest. It's much more.
Letting the past be where the past is. Yeah, I know that's, although I do see the value certainly in the family lineage. I know for me, that actually at this point of sovereignty, it's a nice feeling where there isn't the need of approval from anyone. And I know a lot of people still, that with their own family, that they react in particular ways from their parents, from their spouses, from their children, because there is still that perceived sense of either wanting to fit in or seeking approval, or, trying to please others, which of course we certainly can't do, as these energetically sensitive souls, because there's always going to be people that will never be able to please. So there's always going to be people that don't like it, or whatever the case may be. So it certainly really is just standing in our own lives, but also coming from that heart of love, that heart of forgiveness, that heart of compassion. And what I say to a lot of people really is just essentially just to forgive ourselves for imagining that we were anything less than love, that we were unworthy, because that's really why we perpetuated a large part of the karmic timelines in the victim and persecutor consciousness, was to know ourselves as love. And we now at that point are really just honoring our own divinity, deeper into self-love, into self-expression, into nurturing ourselves, and being able to come from that place in sharing our love with others. And that's really what we're doing. You know, that's how we're uniting as the light tribe, because our family is our family of light. And that's what we're doing. We're coming together more and more just as these beacons of light, and holding that flame of divine love collectively. So really beautiful time. But I do perceive that, you know, really, I think from the family lineage, if there's still any issues there, you know, it's just to separate the character from those emotions and feelings. Because for me, what I find is that then that reflection no longer needs to be there. And the law of attraction really just pops on its head. It goes upside down too, because everything is really just about honoring and seeing the value in all that is.
Yeah, indeed, you know, and also don't be concerned that you got to, you know, repair this karmic lineage way back beyond as well. What I wish to say, if there is something karmic, you know, that is energized throughout the family, that means it's in this now. And if you need to address it, it will be presented before you. Experience will put it there. You don't need to go searching for things. It will be placed right in front of your eyes, in front of your energetics. Then you know exactly, it's identified what you need to address in this now. You don't need to go searching for things. So, you know, if that assists with any of the distractions, your main focus is, you know, being in this now and going forward. And with that, also know, and many of you will agree with what I'm about to say, that you know by changing yourself, your inner self, that it is being reflected in your families and ones around you, that you are seeing changes. And within some that are doing this, you know, are seeing flip-flops of their family members overnight. Perhaps, you know, you got a sister that you've been fighting with for years, and all of a sudden find out the next day she calls you, comes over, hugs you, you know, a totally different person. Because it's very true. When you change yourself, you change others. And you do. And, you know, this is getting into an interesting aspect why this is so. And why this is so is because in the past, for many of you, you were not the only one of you out. There are many timelines, and for some of you, there were many yous out. And, you know, some of the indications of that some of you in the past, yeah, for instance, Anrita, you might have been in Australia and, you know, you have a friend calls you up. Well, I'm in here in New York and I just saw you. I know it was you, you know. And the thing was, yes, it's exactly you because there's different timelines playing out. And things do get wonky at these times of multi-dimensional abilities coming online and by location. You know, you're led aware that you were not the only you, that you do have other essences. And there is a process also where you began from other timelines when you're becoming back whole and complete into your divinity. What you begin to do is start collecting essences from timelines that are very close to you now, other yous. And, you know, it's part of the process. And as you bring back and integrate these other essences and aspects of you, well, then, you know, guess what? You start to become stronger because you're making yourself complete again as well, you know, towards your journey of making yourself whole to connect whole with all that is God, source, whatever it may be, you know, and back in tune with that divine frequency. So that is a process as well. And I might have got kind of off track there, but I wish to.
No, it's perfect. Yes, you know, very, very descriptive and quite lovely. You know, I hadn't actually myself taken it to sort of other me's on the planet, taken to other soul aspects. I mean, essentially, even in our own soul cluster, it's all aspects of self, isn't it? So you're talking about those aspects of self that are on the planet. And that, the way that I sort of see it more is that we go through our individual ascension process, and then we go through our collective ascension process, where those within our own soul cluster, as we experiencing greater levels of light, so we're lifting them too. So that, everyone is just being lifted into the next octave dimension, kind of like light frequency with it, however it is, until the whole cluster then extends into the next level and the next level. And we're doing that essentially for all the earth. So we have like souls at this level and this level and this level. And as this level goes into the next octave, and then the next one from down comes up, and so on, all the way through the sun, central sun, great central sun, into the cosmic heart of Mother, Father, God. So absolutely, that's that process of forward evolution. It's nicely described. I'd like to meet a couple of me's, though.
Well, it is beautiful. As far as I know now, I have all of mine collected, but then there's the other wonky process of your multi-dimensional abilities, that you can be in more than one place at the same time there. And I bilocate all over the place.
Oh.
And but we won't get into that. But what I wish to get into for the viewers is that part of this collecting of your essences, making yourself whole again, is that you've existed for all time, and during that existence, you have had and still have, times as Arcturian, as the Galactics, Pleiadian, Sirian, Andromedon. And what happens during this process, when you're ready and you're open for it, you collect part of your Pleiadian essence. It comes back into your now, and then you start receiving knowledge and information, from the Pleiadian existence, and it makes it very cool as well. And along with this, once you start integrating your galactic essences, then you are introduced, let's say, to other aspects of those times, because not only are you bringing the essence in there, you're also, let's say, you're bringing part of your ships into these dimensions as well for your viewing, because you are multi and interdimensional. So you can and do it, and it does occur. But I won't get into that too much.
Well, that is also igniting and activating through the DNA, the dormant DNA. That is really just what we... Yes. Yeah, and so many of us actually star seeds, and within that star seed quadrant, it just brings online the light languages and the light art and the galactic music and the galactic activations. So it's such a huge part also of our reality, and it is, of course, integrating all those aspects of self. Just absolutely amazing, and the gifts that come with that. I know with me, in my mid-20s, when I had my awakening, was the first core group that I connected with following the archangels was the Pleiadians. And it was such a homecoming, just such an incredible reunion of hearts. And I experienced just absolutely amazing things with them, just really just kind of body work and grids of light, and traveling in light ships and in pods of light, and just from there. And then they introduced me to the Syrians, and I experienced all these sacred geometries and light chambers and scrolls of light and sound and color frequencies. And then the arcturians brought in these healing chambers and light technologies, and that was bliss. And then I went from there into a deeper understanding of being an initiate of light to the Order of Melchizedek, and taking on that name, and taking myself really through the inner tree of life and the outer tree of life, and through and under the kind of the connection into the brotherhood of the light and the overlighting of Lord Melchizedek. And that was a huge part of my work then for many years. And then coming back into that angelic connection and to actually essentially hold myself as a flame of love, as a flame of purity. So my essence is really just purity. That's part of the work that I do and share. is that my energy field emits this a resonance of purity. I know all our energy fields emit absolutely everything anyway, but that's just something that I've been aware of in terms of how, in that connection that I have with others, it often acts as a catalyst to deeper levels of purity within themselves, of being able to sort of release and essentially come into deeper levels of their own gifts, but also just deeper levels of purification.
Yes, the triggers and the activations in that way as well. Yeah. You know, as you're saying, you don't even need to connect through voice or start a conversation. You can be standing by a complete stranger and you can activate them, and it does occur. Yeah, and it's comical as well. And I won't get too much into that, but yes, you know, I have done that several times, and it's amusing in a good way, because you know it's yeah, it's funny in a good way too. You know, Anrita, as we you know, we have touched on so many subjects, and there's so many other things, but this is, I wish to say, this is just amazing, this discussion, and I'm enjoying it just so much.
Me too. I'm feeling your energy, I'm feeling my energy, and I'm feeling the collective light trail. And then I'm so full of joy, but even now, just this incredible feeling of just intense love. It's just absolutely amazing. Thank you, Rick. I feel really, it's just all our energies coming together and our beautiful light tribe listening into, and just absolutely amazing joy just coming through. And almost when I get really happy, you know, it's like sometimes I feel like I just want to laugh a lot. It's just really, it's really lovely. Absolutely amazing. Such a joy to be connecting with you. Thank you.
You're welcome, and most welcome. And yeah, that's your pleasant energy. You know, I've been giggling here tonight quite often, and you're contagious from that. But I've been kind of, you know, happy anyhow for the last few days. And what makes me most happy is seeing the overall progression, you know, and all the beautiful souls, and witnessing that prowess. And you know, that is the greatest reward of happiness at this time, for me to see so many progressing, and seeing more of them that are seeing that it's actually happening, that it's real, you know, and they're just catapulting and propelling forward. And you know, um, I get updates from above, but I also have my own observations there, you know, that I do employ and integrate in other messages when I put out. But the updates that I put out, those are in collaboration with Divine Council. And as I put those out, when I write these updates, let's say I'm tutored from Divine Council, of which I'm a part of it, to write it in such a way that it does go out. And you know, that's from a humanoid aspect here, that's quite interesting. You know, when I'm here typing, then I wait for the, you know, it's like channeling or automatic writing, but it's, you know, it's very interesting, and it's very cool, and I love that. But no, the immense progress. I receive many messages all the time, because I believe I mentioned earlier that I am an overseer of the Ascension here on the surface at this time. So I'm given. I'm pretty well always updated on what is going on the surface, and there's many angels, you know, that are assisting, and when needed, they send me some things, but it's all divinely orchestrated, you know, for them to do their part and do that, because we are a team as well, and that's so important. We're all I, you know, so there is I, because we're all part of I as well. And
you know, and I want to say, I think many of us receive information in a very similar way. You know, I call it just tuning in. I have a, you know, kind of like a sense of how I like to write, and then I find it also just sit in, just like allow the words to unfold. You know, it's just all the information is there. put it out. I'm also a scribe, very much like you on that level, although the words are coming for me only again now. I've had a sabbatical of about a year.
Indeed, if I may, part of my, when I was first being awakened, before that, this channeling, what they call channeling and all of the spirit stuff, like I was at a place that I did not even know anything about it, that what I did know about it, I was in a hypocritical place, that I'd say that's garbage, they're nuts, and I never ever looked at it, right? So it was quite hilarious during the abrupt transition. So what happened is that my body, before I was fully awakened, as part of being shown my divine abilities, there was one point when my body was overtaken to do the automatic writing. And it was at a time when a pretty important earthquake off of Vancouver had happened, which should have caused quite a bit of destruction because it was relatively shallow. And but the timeline that I experienced is that whoomp, I went down on the computer. I was being shown mass devastation right around the planet. There was quite a bit happening, and that was the 3D timeline. That's when we separated from that because there was a catastrophic, apocalyptic ending to that 3D timeline. But during that transition, I was physically left behind on that timeline, monitoring. I didn't know at the time, but I was seeing on the computer, monitoring how everything was going down with communications around the world. Some of the news stations were still recording the great earthquakes and tsunamis and, countries being cut off, the cables joining, the transatlantic cable from North America to Europe, these things all being severed and communications going down globally, satellites going out. But to get to the point, at that time, I did not know what was going on. Gaia, it was my point of connecting then with Gaia. So becoming one with her energy. And I had no idea what was going on, but my body was overtaken by Gaia, and my fingers, and I only type with one finger, but here's both of my hands going rapidly, typing, and I'm just back because the words are coming out so quick, and I'm watching my hands. I got no control over what's happening. And so after a very lengthy paragraph of a broken transmission, and when things begin to calm down and I'm transported to the new lower 4D timeline where everything is kosher and everything is great, then I get the chance to read what I had written, but it was actually Gaia. And it was just so amazing that it was written in transmission, short sentences. And, but it was her pain and what was happening at that time, and about the volcanic eruptions, and it was about her feelings, her sensations put down in words, about the trembling and the pain and, these sort of things. But also it was put such a way that she was birthing. So this was, perhaps the birthing out of the 3D and into the higher timelines, which was very interesting with that. But
even if we're saying that, Rick, because you're talking about it where I am now, and I'm sure many are as well, we've integrated so much for a very long time, the inner masculine and feminine frequencies or spirits. And now we're birthing creations of light. And quite literally, I'm certainly, not overweight, but my tummy is now like a tiny little ball. And I'm walking around like a pregnant lady, with my hands on my tummy. A lot. It's just, I'm realizing I'm birthing creations of light, that my energy is deepening into the divine mother energy, into the energy of Gaia. So interesting as you were talking about that, because really it was just coming that we're birthing creations of light collectively now. Just absolutely amazing. And it's also actually then energetically, so that reunion of hearts that we were talking about, and soul family coming together, it's like the soul clusters are merging energetically. So we're experiencing that divine reunion, not only within ourselves as our chemical marriage, but we're experiencing that divine reunion on the inner planes to our own soul clusters. Whether we call the soul brothers, soul sisters, soul mates, we're merging energetically. And with that, then that's what some people are experiencing, really that perceived sense of the Kundalini activating and igniting, but at the same time it's birthing. It's not only the magical innocent child, but it's like creations of light, into next level of creations, of creativity, of co-creating these amazing realities of unity consciousness.
Indeed, it all plays the big role. It's all connected and in conjunction, you know, with the overall advancement and timelines. And yeah, it's much, in reality, it's much more complex than just a Kundalini, perhaps sexual awakening. No, you know, the real meaning of it and why it is so important. But if you don't mind, to get to your aspect of, you know, speaking about your belly, like feeling like you're pregnant, you know, in the past, there are other divine ones that, yeah, you know, and even one, you know, within a matter of hours, belly swelled up and given divine birth. But what this is, you know, is the female, the feminine one, integrating and connecting with Gaia. Exactly, because she is a part of us. She is the sentient being. She is a conscious energy, and she is part of us. She's within us as well, the same as God, as we are a part of that we are all connected. And at this great time of ascension, yes, we need to integrate Gaia for part of our multi-dimensional experiences. If we did not have the energy of Gaia integrated within us, well, we could go to 5D and there may not be no Gaia there, you know. So for simplicity's sake, yes, once you start your multi-dimensional travel, you need that connection to Gaia. And with the females, it's experienced, you know, as so many of them through, you know, physical symptoms of their self, of a rebirthing, but it's actually their connection to Gaia. They're being
and it's the Kundalini actually of Gaia as well. You know, I'm not really talking about a sexual experience. I'm talking more of, you know, kind of the connection into the planetary chakras and the Kundalini energy of Gaia as her energy is, you know, moving. I'm kind of feeling that also through the body, apart from, you know, I feel that those flames of light held energetically on the inner planes of soul clusters. This is the energy of Gaia kind of moving. And with that, then it goes into what we're talking about, not taking on, but feeling what you're talking about, feeling and embracing the pain and embracing the deep sadness. You know, it's like I sit in love, but I sit also with like a sadness. And I know obviously part of it is through my own unique experiences to know myself as love, but also it's in part because of what we're choosing to clear for the sacred earth and take on. And that is Gaia is saying, you know, my beloved children, what have we done? You know, and just embracing that sadness and embracing that pain and embracing what's going on from a 3D perspective on different levels, you know, into the love of the heart, into the love of the crystal heart of Mother Earth, into the diamond heart of God. So many different things are being experienced. I mean, I love those multidimensional aspects of creation because, you know, every day you play with something new. You could wake up and say, who am I today?
Yeah, like, you know, you look back years ago, you know, it's more easily for me to look back when I was asleep because, you know, a lot of you females have been awakened for a long time. But when I look back into what I could call the days of complete ignorance, yeah, you know, if I would have been even to force to watch our conversation here tonight, you know, I would have been just laughing and making fun and said those two are absolutely nuts and psychos and all of this, you know, because that is the perspective. And, you know, this is part of what we still have today is that ignorance out there. But, you know, in reality, that ignorance is actually divine ignorance, because that's what secures their realities for what they're not supposed to know. Now, if I, if I can jump off of that, I'd like to very quickly share uh, another of my interactions with the essence of Gaia, if I may. And this is, it's a little bit funny too, you know, and I love that, and I love her so much. She's so beautiful too. But what I was doing, it was in December, about 2 years ago. Paula and a group of I on Facebook, we had just did a major activation we were instructed to do in India to activate into I do grid work as well, because what we're doing is we're building the new grid. Well, it's built for 5D for 4D Gaia to integrate and connect and come into. So part of that process, we do, and we power up certain energetic spots with those that have the codes. And those are the ones that, if they have an interest and they join into it, that means they have the codes, you know, in the blueprint to do it. So it's all ingeniously, divinely orchestrated. However, I'm getting off track. So we had, but it's pertinent that we had did that activation 2 days prior. So I'm sitting on Vancouver Island, and we got some snow on the ground. It's in December, I believe, and I have a portal also open. I open portals where I go for energetic work, and depending upon what I'm doing. And so I'm kind of a guy also that gets bored. I always got to be doing something, right? I always got to be active. So, well, not much to do, and I'm at this little park on Vancouver Island. So I said, I'm going to take this opportunity to practice some of my magic to see what's allowed now in this dimension. So I know I needed a candle, or I wanted a candle. So I said, good, I'm going to try, I believe it, to manifest a candle or two here on the table, you know. And so I tried it, and nothing happened for a couple seconds or two. Then all of a sudden, a butterfly appeared on the table with its wings, you know, together like this. I said, "What?" I'm saying, my energy or my magic is wonky or something. I said, "What's going on?" You know, and so I get ready to connect with Father, or even Merlin, if you will, to see what's happening if he's playing jokes, right? But what happens is that, I look up over here to connect, and I feel a very large, peaceful presence there. I don't see it, but, you know, it's the way that um, you just know and you feel the energy there. So, you know, without visually seeing it. So I looked there, and, it's pretty tall, and I'm reading the signature. It's feminine, and and it takes me a bit. I said, "Who is it?" And she says, telepathically, "It's Gaia." I said, "Cool, wow." I said, "Well, thanks for dropping in." And she says, "I want you to type a message." I said, "Okay, I'll type a message." She wanted to put a message out, and so what she did is that the energy, she come over, and she put her hands, like, one on top of each other, up on the shoulder, and she began to speak. She put her, what would be, a mouth. She began to speak about this far from my ear, and and I'm there typing. So she's telling me what to type, and uh, so just before I begin to type, yeah, she lets me know that no, there's nothing wrong with my magic. That the butterfly comes from her, that she sent it, that. And so I looked at it and I said, well, as a token of her appreciation, is what she said. Hey, beautiful one. Ah, you're gorgeous. Ah, I love you. so, um, so she says, look at the butterfly when it unfolds its wings. So, like the butterfly had its wings folded. And so at that time when she told me, I looked down at it and it opened up its butterfly wings. And when it did, the formation, the shape on it was that of a Bengal tiger cub associated with India.
Wow,
And
wow,
just, I said,
amazing. Hey.
Mom, I said, thank you. That is
Yeah.
so beautiful. And it was a masculine. I knew it was a male because you, as you know, you intuitively read the energy signatures right away, right? And so great. And so I type out this message, and it really is her message is, an appreciation and a thanks to those that had participated in that certain energetic activation of a point in India. And and
Yeah.
also with that, I typed out that she had sent the butterfly here, and that it was on the table, and to share that with the others. And it was just so beautiful. So I put it out. It's out on Facebook. Whenever that was, a couple years ago, it's written there. I got so much stuff written, but
And
everything
you
is
write beautifully. Yeah, and they're so synchronistic, Rick. Sorry, I hope I'm not interrupting there, but such a
no.
wonderful story of just so affirming, isn't it? I absolutely love these abounding synchronicities.
Yeah.
Just so beautiful. You're thinking of something and something just arrives or is experienced. And, even this beautiful cat has like dragon energy. And you've got this dragon energy, and you were talking there, and I got this whole image of Merlin and magic and dragons. And next thing, my cat going, oh, I have to come and see Rick too.
Yes, thank you, and I love it too. Yeah, you're exactly right. When we start speaking about Merlin, he his energy is quite a character as well. Always jolly and laughing, and so comical sometimes. Him and I are, yeah, we're solidly connected when we do. And when he connects with me, the images that the way he connects is puts the images right in the third eye, right? And it's just so sharp and so cool when he does that. And I love that. Yeah. And I can actually feel him within the energetic field as well, because yeah, we
It's
connect
lovely.
over.
It's so amazing. Absolutely lovely. And I'm heading to Glastonbury soon when I'm doing that conference in June next year. And already, as ideas are coming, and I've just had this whole dream this last night. It was all about Merlin, and it was about Arthur and the Round Table, and Guinevere and Lancelot. And then here I come and connect with just this beautiful being that is like best friends with Merlin.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
indeed.
life is so wonderful.
Well, one of the subjects last night, for the first time, I had a conversation on Facebook, with another divine angel in Ireland, and when we were connected, I started receiving, all the messages, because she has a certain, her and another beautiful comrade and another friend, they have a certain divine mission of where they're going to here for the 11/11. And I started receiving some information, and part of that, unexpectedly, again, it took us right to the time of Merlin, and to a sword, and yeah, into the Crusades and the Druid days. So it was very, and Merlin popped in there at that time as well, because he's going to be accompanying them on the journey, and it was yeah, it was quite hilarious. So Merlin is playing a part in that, and this Camelot and King Arthur, um, you know, Merlin is real. um, well, everything is real, and my connection to Merlin is, a very, for me, a tangible thing. It is real. But what is interesting that so far uh, in this human part consciousness that's Arthur, and that keeps popping up with a lot of significance. And before I was well briefed on that and the history of it, and the Holy Grail and all of this. But uh, I will confess, so far I'm not given consciously in this now what the full connection is, but it is a very important common theme that keeps popping up. And many can identify with this as well. So, perhaps this is part of a futuristic timeline that's being integrated, where we have been bringing the good out of the past as well, because it's beliefs that also create timelines that are very important. But just to share, I've not been given yet consciously all the information on why that pops up. So
I get so much just, really just all of us just deepening so much into the, God, Goddess archetypes, and also the Magdalene and the Yeshua codes, kind of the Christ codes. And so all of that is like igniting so much more on the planet, in different ways. And we all just fulfilling part of those, again, roles, kind of taking on that energy of the Divine Mother or the Divine Father. My whole 11 gateway coming up, information that the Company of Heaven has asked me to put out there at this time is really just essentially about a deeper rebalancing of the divine masculine and feminine, but also in healing the wounds of perceived separation between men and women, and the divine feminine hearing the call of the divine masculine that is awakening now and inviting them to join them in the temples of light, to move into the priest, priestess archetypal energy, and to hold that collectively through the Magdalene codes, through the Christ codes, and in this essence, through the energy of the divine, the codes of the Divine Mother and the codes of the Divine Father, igniting into what we're calling the diamond heart, because the diamond heart is essentially just the diamond light of Mother, Father, God. It's the purity, it's the innocence, it's the unity, it's the love. So again, it's just an illustration of one aspect of consciousness that we are experiencing, sprouting forth from the cosmic heart of God. But quite a beautiful one, because I feel, what's happening now is that essentially if we can heal, everything is about relationships. And if we can heal those wounds that we've had, and even I know within myself that while there is simply love, there's still an aspect of myself that while forgiveness and blame is not there, that sadness that I hold on to in part of the planetary energy is also in part because there's still a little bit of that healing of the cosmic and karmic wounds that is coming to be experienced. And part of that has come through the perceived separation and the war of the sexes. So as we come together at this time now in healing those wounds, as we hold the flame of the Divine Mother and the Divine Father collectively in the integration of our own divine masculine and divine feminine spirits, then we're starting to dissolve those lower timelines into higher trajectories of unity and love. And, that is essentially part of the work then, that's been guided to, kind of accelerate into this time frame of the 11 gateway.
Yes, and a magnificent divine timing. And in that respect, what you would just elaborated upon, I'm in perfect agreement with that again. And if I may perhaps slightly add, during this ascension, the feminine presence on the planet was leading, and it still is, leading the charge in this. So you have the feminine up here, and you had the masculine down here. And, the feminine cannot take us into the higher dimensions without this masculine following suit. And, but what you had is 75% of feminine awakened ones in their prowess, while you only had, the proportionately 25% of males. And, there is that important balance required. But what I've been witnessing, which so joyously, and many of you have as well, is that a lot of this masculine is now stepping up to the place, resume, embracing their divinity, and also embracing their feminine aspect, which needs to be done to make them complete, to propel the whole ascension forward. And you are correct, and it is so important because for many reasons that balance is important upon the planet while we're still in these human physical vessels. Otherwise you would not be here with a gender. It's that simple. So that it is significance with that as well. And it's what it is, a symbolism also of the separation, off from God, where there is a male and a female aspect. And this is part of the union, getting back
Original
to
fall from grace. Yes, that's what I get. And with this, what's happening then is that part of this light work is also healing the cosmic wounds, victim violence, persecution.
What caused separation as well.
That's right. That's right. And guilt and shame. So all of this is like coming up to be healed at this time. So it's just an absolutely amazing time. And you're talking about that light work, it's the grid keepers, gatekeepers. That's essentially what we're all doing. It's like we guide it as the physical vessels of light and igniting it through our own energy fields. It's pouring forth from the cosmic heart of Mother, Father, God through particular sides, into the crystal heart of Mother Earth, into our own heart, through the ley lines, the sacred sides of Gaia, and of course into the unity grid of divine love, and made available for all of us, for the collective consciousness, for the I am avatar consciousness of light. So it's really, truly an unprecedented now moment in time that we're part of. So just really, really, amazing, amazing time.
Yeah, and indeed, like time speeding up in respect to this. We had built the foundation blocks. Now exponentially, we're getting it built a whole lot quicker. Like every day, we're now putting up, big structures, building this. Whereas in the beginning, we'd put a pebble to start. Now we're putting up walls of good walls of a structure in a day, building this, just to use an analogy.
Yes.
This is
and
how,
I love that, because it's a templating. For so long it was energetic and etheric, and now it's just really quite solid. It's just really solid, and here, and and those visions are coming to pass. So for so long we were just creating it. We were creating it as a mindset of unity and love. And now it's much more physical and tangible. And really quickly the manifestations are coming online. We've dreamed it into being. I guess that's probably the best way.
Yeah. So we had the blueprint, we had that. It was written in all of us, and we had that to go by, and we began building, with the pebbles. And we are in the construction mode. We almost got it built, right? And when we get it built, well, then, we move on to build something else. So
Master builders.
just
Master builders at home.
And so many more joining in all the time. And it's just so beautiful, right? And more stepping into their divinity. And for me, where I'm an overseer of the ascension, I am connected as well into the entire vibration and energetics of the planet. So when more comes into their gifts, it's transmitted to me in the form of energy, as it is you girls, and the other guys as well. You feel the vibrations. We're rocking, and what it is, it's because you're feeling more joining the party, and you're feeling the overall strengthening of the frequencies and the vibrations. And
that's right. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's absolutely wonderful. It was so nicely described, Rick. And it's essentially what it is. And it's like my heart just, when I see the preciousness and the magnificence of our light tribe and what they're accomplishing, we are just so amazing. We are amazing. We are the light of God, the light of God. We are walking this sacred path of love. And, just my heart beams with just absolute joy. every time I connect on the show, with all these beautiful light workers, with all the light tribe and just their amazing gifts and how we collectively shining our light. And I absolutely love that it's just expanding, just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And, here we are, just unstoppable in the forces of light. So really such a wonderful time. But thank you, Rick. I don't know if there's any last things that you want to talk about for this gateway. I know for me, part of that is also ignition of the DNA upgrades. This has also been experienced. I'm going to be putting out a transmission too on Saturday, apart from doing a TV webinar. I'm going to do something really amazing around that divine masculine and feminine, the divine light codes of the mother and father. But also I'm going to be gifting an amazing transmission too that is working with the crystalline cities of light and the DNA upgrade, diamond DNA upgrades. So that's coming very soon. This is just, I know, going to be one of those incredibly powerful gateways that just accelerates us into the next level collectively of our souls blossoming in magnificence and light. And I know leading up to it, often what we have, Rick, you could probably fill us in a little bit more on that, is obviously just a lot of, again, that's recalibration and ascension symptoms and discomfort within the body, or, kind of like old energies being released. What is your primary sense at this time of what's happening energetically?
What have been given earlier today is that we're going to be given coming up for this most auspicious time of the Gateway 10th and the 11th. What have been given is that this is going to be energetic beyond perhaps any proportions yet, beyond, what happened with the eclipse over North America last year, the great heightened
it was my moment.
Yeah, it's going to be way more than that. What I'm given, that this is the most intense yet. And to complement this, what I was given, if I understood it correctly the other day, is that we are going to activate the sun up again. We're going to rotate a few flares with this and get some more photonic energy down to the physical bodies to assist with also raising the vibration at that time. So not only is it going to be a very energetic time, it will also have the atmosphere created for more magic and profound experiences to happen at that time. And also with this, the politics that's setting up in North America, some of these big events, if they start to come out this week, divinely timed with that, it's going to trigger even a mass awakening that is going to create a huge shift right at that time, or, shortly before or after it, most likely after it, because you have the integration period, and then you have that shift. But if this is so magnificent, it may trigger the shift, very instantly. So with this, we know something is going to occur, and many, I believe, are feeling that it's something big around the corner. So it's significant. And also, leading up and complementing this gateway is the gatherings. This is important, of the ones gathering in the physical and creating a little bit stronger energetic field. So
very, as you were saying that, I remember in one of Lisa Transcendence Brown's recent newsletters, she was talking about actually new suns beyond the great central sun and great central sun, new sun encodings coming through beyond this.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So that really ties in with that beautifully coming through, with the photonic rays, the plasmic light consciousness, but the sun codes, bringing them through, and at the same time also shifting dimensionally, that often we've been talking about just like kind of these 9 or 12 dimensions of light, but there's a new dimensional frequency, the next level coming online at this time too.
Excellent.
So we're calling it the 13th dimensional gateway. So kind of it all sort of feels like it ties in just quite beautifully to whatever we're going to experience. My sense primarily is that it's going to be just the next level of descension, many more souls just coming home, just coming into the body, just being here, being present as the flames of divinity that we are. So that is really just, kind of essentially, it's just that light grid of geometries and light and sound and color frequencies is just amplified to such a degree that the energy of all the beloved, the collective beloved I am presence can just fully embody a lot more within our hearts. And of course, as we hold the light of God upon the sacred earth. So just really, really, beautiful things that are going to be happening.
Indeed. And, you mentioned Lisa Transcendence Brown. She's awesome. From time to time, I do read a bit of what she puts out, but, I know she is authentic because you read, you just feel the energy. And, she's putting out her things, and
Yes.
others are putting out theirs, and they are very genuine. As I said, everyone is correct because, of their audience that they have and the ones they are assisting. And but Lisa, she is phenomenal as well in
Lovely.
very,
Yeah.
very good divine ways.
Yeah.
And yes, I concur, with the perspective that you just said. Yes, that is a good way to perceive it as well. And basically, at the end of the day, all different perspectives really are saying the same thing, which is awesome. And it's just for the perspectives that each one is delivering that out to, that it's received perhaps in a different manner, but it's all the same. I was going to make another point. About the sun, the discomforts you had asked, these ascension symptoms. Well, if you watch the sun's activity, what you will see with the coronal holes that open, they admit, or sorry, they omit a certain energy that is negatively charged. And when that comes out, that is to pressure the ones that are not awakened and to add negativity to their experience. So it's kind of like squeeze them down and kind of like force them to awaken. So now you feel that because what has happened, most of you have become very powerful, much more powerful than you ever were. So, when these projections we emit through the sun upon the planet, they are electrical impulses to change the polarity of things to accomplish the divine work, is what it actually is. Where you have become empaths, to some of you, you will feel these discomforts because it's negatively charged, and it's contradictory to what you're trying to do. You're trying to change your whole field to a positive polarity, and then you have this induction of negativity. So you have to contend with it. But as long as you know what's happening, then how to set yourself up so that you're not affected, that you're not, as lethargic, you don't become as sick, because you have identified what the source is, and you can do within your own energetic field things that can ease the discomfort of that.
Yeah.
So it's important to know that. So if you pay attention, if you have the ascension symptoms, pay attention to I believe it's the space.com website, the one about the sun, or there's several of them.
Right. Yes,
But,
I've got that.
Yeah,
All the solar flares telling us what's happening between all the solar flares and the photonic rays, and
exactly.
Yeah.
Because
Very,
that is your energy that is
yeah.
that is applied, to the surface. That is the main instrument for now that we are, projecting these things out through into this dimension. So
Yes.
we don't want to get into different perspectives of that, but just to keep it simple now, if you watch that sun, you know what's incoming. But we're going to be sending some flares and possible CMEs. We're going to be sending light in to accommodate what's around the 11th or what's going to happen. This is what I received. So let's see what
Yeah,
we
and always all these gateways, I find sometimes they really can blow you away, because it is so much experienced energetically, and as we're holding that light, but also with the solar flares and the photonic rays and the plasmic lights frequencies, and really it's essentially just to hold your own energy as much as possible, to just have a look
Yes.
in what are my issues and what are, kind of like is part of this collective clearing, and also how do I act and react, because that's such a huge thing as well, isn't it? Just finding yourself in that really, for me, I use breath. That's what I say to everyone. If there's nothing else that you need to do, just sitting within your heart of love, breathe, because your breath is actually what essentially, organizes your thoughts and your feelings, doesn't it, into kind of the perceptions of reality. So, the more you centered and aligned through the breath as the flames of divinity to the cosmic heart of God and the crystal heart of earth, then you are, you can hold that. You can hold that and just let it, whoosh, kind of move around rather than take it on or bring it in. And as always, just remember to love all that arises.
Well, indeed, and again, you've been touching on so many good subjects that I can elaborate on, and this is a very important one with the breathing, because if you look at energy, your physical vessel is made out, when you get down to the quasar particles or even below that, it's made out of the same thing as air is made out of. But, with these physical vessels, you have many contaminants biologically and chemically from the planet. But if you can get good air to breathe, that is actually energy as well. And it's much more powerful than any food or anything like that. So, yeah, when you do the proper techniques, bring that down into the lungs. But before doing those, I always recommend getting rid of all the old air. So breathe out as much as you can. And when you breathe out all you can, give it an extra push out, because there is stagnant air in the bottom of your lungs, because it's the way you have become accustomed to breathing. But you do that, and very quickly you can bring in a massive amount of energy, in just 3 deep intakes and doing the proper procedure. And actually, in opening portals, this is part of the process of how I do it. And it can be very intense one time. And do we have enough time to share a little bit about?
Yes, absolutely. I'm so enjoying our conversation. Really, really, really. And I'd really like to know how you open portals, because maybe I can do that too. And some of it.
Well, I have put out, perhaps a year or two ago, a 6-page report on some of the gifts and how to open portals. And, it was more so a primary introduction with the basics. But since then, we have gone so far that really it needs to be updated and revised. But so when I'm first coming into my divinity, one of the first things is, Father and angels say, Rick, okay, you got to open your individual portal, the one above your head, and open that up and connect to the etheric stream. So, part of your higher self. So it was pretty hilarious. So, but at that time, I didn't know why, because I'm still in the process of being divinely learned and brought up to date very quickly. But I'm at the process that I know God is real, and there's that inner knowing that you got to do this stuff and you got to get prepared. So I asked no questions. I just did what I was told. So I went out, and the first time I went outdoors in the night, and I was instructed how to open that first portal, my portal. And it was so cool that, I had no anticipations. I had no expectations of what would happen. I just go out and I'm just opening a portal or make some kind of connection. But very quickly with that one, I do the breathing exercise, which is part of this, energizing myself through this pure energy, which then it makes you a powerhouse. And so what happened with that one very quickly is that I open this portal and it's in the night, And the clouds have parted, but it's a black night. It's dark. There is no moon. And having said that, above me, just out of eyesight, I can hear these huge wings of a huge winged creature, just circling right above my head, just out of sight. So I'm saying to myself or asking God, what is that? And well, I was immediately told it's Archangel Michael. That is your connection, with that, the Archangel Michael of light. And I said, okay, good. And that was very comical. After opening that, I had an adjustable computer chair. And, much of my divine learning was, I was given and instructed it on the computer. And what would be so comical is that after that time, so I was let known that, Archangel Michael was tutoring me, if you will, of light. uh, I'd have my computer chair up pretty high and have it fastened tight because it was an adjustable one. And so while I was at the computer, so it was only me in the house and my favorite companions, the cat and the dog, which I love dearly. And I would go to bed in the night, to get some rest, and but sleep wasn't much then because I was just abruptly being and very quickly rushed dead. I'll say, yeah, that I was rushed, but that was part of, what I signed up for. So there was not much sleep and many hours on the computer. But anyways, I would get up in the morning and it was comical. I'd come down and I'd see my chair from my computer would be right down lowest as it could go. And, at first I didn't clue in. And I said, like, okay, why is this happening? And after a
Okay.
couple times, I got the answer that it's Archangel Michael here doing things with your computer, getting it set up for you. But that's not the story I wanted to share. I got kind of off track again because, there's so much fun with this. And really, I've been talking a lot about myself the last few days, but we're at such a point that I wish to share it with others, too. And
And
to
we
let
want to hear. We want to hear, Rick. I think it's such a time of personal stories as well. Really, I think so many of us are so connected also to Archangel Michael. Just amazing, amazing stuff. But please continue. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. But at that point, it's very important to any of you newly calling in Archangel Michael, make sure you say Archangel Michael of light, because there was a deception of a dark Archangel Michael. But to quickly override that and to eradicate any confusion, just put Archangel Michael of light. And then you got it all taken care of. However, then I was instructed to anchor a portal. So I'm being trained, how to open portals in preparation for doing all of my planetary divine work and setting up the grids. And this is what it was part of too. And so then I'm instructed, I don't know, you lose all sense of time, but it wasn't too many nights, I don't think, afterwards, once I successfully opened my portal and connect myself to the etheric realms. And so then we had a communication channel through the energetics that was connected. And, I was more of when that occurred, then I had built myself up that I was more of at that point, I was gaining my divine sovereignty and more of a standalone, if you know what I mean. However, so, that's good. I love that. Yeah, I opened my portal, and above me, big wings flew. That was real. I didn't see Archangel Michael, but that was awesome.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I think it's definitely a gift I'd like to have. And I'd like that gift of bilocation too. I definitely can travel energetically and be in places and feel the energy of people, but physically feeling myself sort of coming to visit you, that would be nice. Hey, come and have a cup of tea. Rick's place.
Yeah. Well, there's no restrictions with this, but
energetically, I'm talking physically, that to just go through that portal physically. And I always say even to teleport and you know, it would be so much easier than catching planes and moving from one place to another. I know that I've had my Merkaba field, as many of us have activated for a very, very long time, but that really was just essentially to, you know, shift into fifth dimensional consciousness. And I kind of said, like, a little bit like sponges. Sometimes it feels like, well, of course, it's just a real like shield of light, isn't it, around us, filled with all these geometries and a little bit of sponginess. Sometimes I feel like, you know, it's like kind of this like sphere with all sorts of, you know, codes of light around the body and energies and geometries.
You know what I've found? There is an individuality with it, you know, that how some perceive it, and everyone is correct. You know, there are some that one group will say, yeah, I experienced that way, and another group a different way, but it's all the same thing. And
Yes.
and it is. But if I may share, when I had to anchor a stationary portal, I wish to share this with your audience, and this was pretty cool, and I love this, and it was hilarious. I had to laugh at myself later too with what occurred. But however, I'll share with it very quickly. So I'm instructed. It's a beautiful, a starlit night. I don't believe there was any moon at that time. It was a very clear night, and it was in early October, I believe, and the grass was still green. You know, it was a beautiful night, not cold at all. And so I'm instructed on the property I live to go to a certain place and stand. And it was very interesting because it was very particular. I had to place my feet in a certain spot. And, you know, I had took a good position about 4 inches away with my feet, but no, that wasn't good enough. I had to be over here, they said, about 4 inches away in this certain spot. So I said, good, you know, and I went with that. And then I did the procedure to open the portal. And wow, when I did the procedure, only took, you know, a few minutes, no more than, well, about 5 minutes. What happened is when I opened my eyes and I looked around, all you could see was these beautiful silver sparkles in the air everywhere, just coming down into the portal. If you know these little glass balls they used to have with snow in them for Christmas when you turn
Oh,
them up.
yeah. Yes, the snow globes. Yeah.
Yeah, and they start, but these were
Yeah.
all
Okay.
beautiful
Yeah.
silver sparkles coming down, and just diamond like sparkles, you know, it was just magical. And but they were mostly silver with perhaps a little bit of the violet tinge in them, and light and blue, right? You know, very, very powerful, pure, like sparkles. And so it was so great. I said, wow, you know, this is so beautiful. And I felt so good. You're always feeling it in the heart. And you know, and I look around and I just said, you know, this is so beautiful and so amazing, and just something that I never anticipated. I said, thank you, you know, Father, for this. So I'm instructed to walk back in the house, and, you know, it's probably the wee hours of the night. So I go back in and I go to bed. And, you know, just a magical journey I'm on, being learned
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
taught. And
These multidimensional realities, they're absolutely amazing. I mean, kind of also I do mine, I do my breathing at night, and that's really the time. And I find myself just going on these amazing journeys, absolutely amazing, amazing journeys. And so much of that right now is also interest into the crystal heart of Gaia and that connection to Gaia. I think that's obviously part of what I'm integrating at this time. But just those journeys for me have always been so multidimensional and star-seeded, and you know, just really just traversing galaxies. So amazing, amazing stuff. I wanted just to ask now also, Rick, that we're winding up.
sorry, may I interrupt just for a second before you
Yeah.
ask? I didn't finish the story yet. I went
Oh
to
my
bed.
goodness. Okay.
There's another part to it that's kind of funny.
Okay.
May I finish that first, please?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, great. So I went to bed and I got up the next morning, and the location that I opened the portal on my property at there was another little house in a grass lawn that I walked across to open the portal, and that I walked back across after I had it opened. So I get up in the morning, and just for some reason, I go over to my patio door that's facing over towards the portal. And, I'm kind of sleepy eye, and I look out, and I notice on the grass that there's these brown spots that, I said, it's looking like footprints. And so I get my shoes on, and I go over to inspect what happened to the grass. And when I get over there, where the lawn is at, I see these huge footprints on the grass. They're footprints. So I look at them, and they're kind of big. It looks like and they got all of the grass, was green, and these are brown. The grass is dead. It's just all brown in every one of these prints. And, these are quite big prints too. And I'm saying, like, what happened? Did a spaceman or something come through here? But then I was instructed to follow them. And what had occurred, my companion, the dog, after we had opened the portal, he had gone over to smell something. So what I had did when he went, him and I was energetically connected. I would follow him because he was, let's say, my nose in things as well. And so what I did, I had turned over where he went. So when I'm inspecting the tracks, I come to find out that the tracks went right down there too. Then I'm told that I had made the tracks because of the immense energy that I had brought in that was still within my body, that when I walked across the grass, that it was too much for it. So actually it was quite comical that I was thinking, that something else occurred, and really I had burnt the grass. I had brought in
amazing.
Yeah, but it was funny to me. I was thinking it was someone else, and it was me anyway. Yeah,
that's amazing. That's how big your presence is. Sometimes, again, just and sadly, a slight analogy to that is that we often imagine that we're much less than we are, or smaller. We're smaller. We're these huge, vast, multi-dimensional beings. And you're just having that experience of actually just, this is my energy. This is how vast and amazing and magnificent and immeasurable I am in my magnificence and light. I absolutely love that. Because I see what, also again, to change the subject slightly, but with many light workers as energetically sensitive souls, we lack confidence. I know for me that confidence was a big thing. There was the wisdom, there was the knowing, but it was confidence. And if we just see ourselves as these immense, amazing beings that we are, that confidence is there naturally. So it is something that is just absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Rick. It's been so wonderful to have this conversation with you. I truly look forward to I hope, further conversations, some wonderful, New Earth Cosmic Conversations. And I wanted to just ask you, apart from obviously all the beautiful sharings that you do and sharing of your light, are you hosting anything, or do you do consultations or workshops? How would people get in contact with you, or do you just do what you do? How do you work?
Okay, well, at this most auspicious, important time, we are advancing. And so what I am in a transitional stage. What I did prior is, just be on Facebook assisting whoever would be connected to me, and assisting as many through there, and putting out the updates on Facebook under Rick Jors, who I am. But what has been transitioning because of this most important time is that now I'm beginning, to do more of these interviews and getting out the perspectives that I have to share. And so with that, I am now, available for doing interviews. Anyone wishes to, do that, because it assists, so many that it resonates with. So I'm doing that. And also this Saturday, the 10th, I am going to be doing we're going to be having a get together. This will be the first one like this that I have did. So, you know, we have approximately, I believe, 35 people, maybe more, at this time that have registered or that we know that are coming. And we are, and these are angels, a lot of them, and we'll be connecting for the first time. And so, you know, I'm going to be sharing whatever comes up with this divinity. And as you and I have done tonight, and I'm so gracious for it, is that we really don't make an agenda. We let it go because it's divinely oriented where it must go. So you don't wish to put restrictions on what it will be about, because that's not how divinity works. It will be about what's in accordance with the divine plan. So yeah, I'm beginning to.
Wonderful. So you're open to co-creation and webinar co-creations and conferences, and people can just catch up with you on your Facebook, and we can just see how we can all co-create together with your divine presence and what you share and what you bring.
And that's it. We're building it as we go. Yes, these new connections. Facebook is the best. Yeah.
Yes. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Rick, I'm going to let you go so you can get a good night's sleep. I know that it's certainly a little bit later for you there after one. I've got 11:11 here at my time. You must have 1:11. Oh, all these 11:11. Hey, isn't this 11:11 gateway coming up? And then you've got 1:11 and I'm 11:11.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm actually feeling that both of us need to use the washroom anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's been absolutely amazing to connect with you, and we love you so much, Rick. You know, your sharings and your light and what you're doing to assist in lifting the consciousness of the planet is so greatly appreciated. I know that you get that appreciation, but I just want to say, speaking for the collective and speaking for the Light Tribe, you are amazing, and we love you. We love you. We love you.
And I love you and all as well. But before we go, and namaste, of course. But before I go, I wish to share one other funny thing of the pertinence of this time. I was doing earlier tonight a blog radio show with Linda Summers, and we did a half-hour session, and we'll be putting that out on Facebook in the morning when she gets it prepared. It was recorded. But one of the funny things, while I was waiting for to connect with her, there was a countdown on the time, and just at the time when I got prepared, just signed in to connect with her, and you know, I didn't do this consciously, so I just get everything up, and then all of a sudden the voice comes on, and the lady says 11 minutes and 11 seconds before your call.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Yeah, that's coming up everywhere. And don't you just love it also, because I find often I look at the clock, I call it angel numbers. It was 11:11 for so long, and then it was 22:22, and now I'm getting like 4:44, and the 8s, the 4s and 8s are coming up at 2:22 and 1:11, or 11:11 is still really big numbers, you know, just coming up. If anyone's looking at synchronicity, thinking divine thoughts, and having a look at some sort of digital timing, you know, this is it. This is it. The angels are speaking. Life is speaking.
It is. Those are the confirmations. Yeah, you don't need to look for them. You'll be showing them.
Right. Exactly.
It is true. Yeah. Woo.
That's beautiful. I know. It's wonderful. Awesome. And so divine and synchronistic, and everything being divinely orchestrated. So beautiful to have you on the show, Rick. And from our heart then, Light Tribe, and to yours, and to the cosmic hearts of creation, blessings in love. Namaste. Looking forward to connecting again when we do. Blessings and love. See you then. Bye-bye.
I love you. Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.